What's going on, guys? Blazing here. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you are having a wonderful day. And thank you for joining not just me, but joining me with Gestel Gaming on the channel for the very first collab video between just me and him. Gestel, how are you doing, my man?
Doing great, Blazing. How you doing?
Doing good, doing good. Thank you for coming on the channel, man. Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
Thanks for having me, man. It's great.
So I invited you here because we've been talking for a while about trying to get a collab together, and talking about this subject, right? And you want to fill everybody what we're going to talk about?
Yeah, so you came at me with the idea of picking out 5 epic champions that are good without books. And I think that's a good thing for kind of, especially newer players. You might pull an epic and you're not really sure if you can build them, and if you're going to build them, you're going to have the books to build them. So I think this is a good one. I think a lot of people will find, some use for champs that they might not have thought about.
Yeah. You particularly came to mind for this collab because you've been doing a lot on the free to play, and that's a pretty big majority of the community right now is free to play, low spend, or very early game, which that's the current state that you're at. So you're getting both of the early, mid game, all the way to the end game with your main account. So yeah, let's get into it. So first on the chopping block, who do you have for us?
All right, so first champ I chose is Melga Steelgirdle. Melga is the only revived dwarf champ in the faction. Even legendary champs. Well, I guess you got AoE revive. I guess you have Molly, but AoE revive champ and Faction 20 Wars brings the ignored defense enemy or boss. So that can be a difficult one to get through for a lot of comps, especially with I feel like there's a lot of damage dealers on the dwarf faction. So build in Melga. Now, granted, it is a 7 turn cooldown on the revive, but you do get it is a two. It's two random. My bad. Not a not AOE, but two random allies. But it is a 7 turn cooldown. But you do need a revive on that boss. You bring her in, you get 1 or 2 up, and you'll be able to 3-star the Faction 21 like it's nothing. So that's why I chose her.
Yeah. No, I agree. That is a solid pick. I mean, even when I was going through Faction Wars 21 way back in the day, but we didn't have half of these champions, the Mytha wasn't around to carry us. But I used her. I didn't book her. I think I kept her at like level 50. And, I really, not just her revive, but her A2, I thought was huge, right? Places a shield of 20% on everybody on the team with 2 turns on her HP, which is I've seen some of them being built with like 100k HP. So
Hmm.
that's a very very solid pick. So my next one's actually a champion that we all get pretty early on, and she is she doesn't get her due. I feel often enough, which is Khatun, right? Now this might be more arena based than anything else, but in the beginning, that's what we're kind of all focused. We're all trying to get into the gold arena to try to farm out some of the medals, build our great hall, make things a little easier. And even in faction wars, you still use her, right? But it's all about her A3, her A2. Sorry, the increased speed and filling the turn meter of all allies. It's a you can book it down to a 3 turn cooldown, but in arena, if you're not going first with a speed booster, you're pretty much gonna lose, right? So the rest of my kit is great too. You get the decreased turn meter on the A2. A1 doesn't really give you much other than the decreased speed. And then, she has a really solid aura. But I'm curious to find out, what do you think?
Yeah, early on, having someone that's like a baby arbiter per se, and that she fills turn meter, or more like a baby Lysandra, fills turn meter, and well, either way, increased speed and fills the turn meter to be able to go first is certainly a champion you need early on in arena. Now, you don't necessarily think of all the different aspects in the game where epics are going to be very influential, especially early in the game. Arena is something you have to do to start building that great hall. If you're kind of slacking on your arena, then your great hall is not building up, which is going to slow you on the arbiter missions. So you really do have to at least do 10, 15 hits on arena a day, and having a speed lead makes that super easy. So I like this pick.
Yeah. All right, so we got 2 out of the 10 out of the way. Now, who do you have next for us?
So the next champ I chose was Vrask out of the Orcs. Vrax brings something very good in his passive. He heals all allies by 10% of this champion's max AP whenever this champion inflicts a critical hit. So A2, A1 really doesn't matter. I mean, you really just want him. You can just have him hit A1, make him fast, get 100% crit rate on him. Don't need any books, and he's just going to heal your team constantly. Faction Wars, he's really strong. Progression, if you're having trouble keeping a team healed up, like in a Doom Tower or something, he can be very strong. I've always liked this champ. He's early on in this game. I felt like there weren't that many healers, and this guy like actually brought a lot of healing to your comp. So I really like Verask. I'm using him now in my Faction Wars to get through, or my free to play to get through Faction Wars. So great champion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I remember back when Doom Tower was first released, and we had the Eternal Dragon that dropped, which is actually our current rotation. I remember he was like an MVP because you needed to have a healer, and it was all about his passive. Like, you don't need the books on anything else. He's just gonna keep healing. And I remember putting him in like a relentless set, trying to keep
Hmm.
everybody topped up. Same
Nice.
thing with Faction Wars. I had him in there. He was keeping everybody healthy, especially because the Faction Wars this boss likes to do the HP swap. And if you don't have, what is it, All Man Hermit, Jorg or Hermit, whatever it is, you need a healer. You need somebody who's going to come in and smack and give you that, 10% heal. So that is a very solid pick. Yeah. All right. So next we have actually one of my favorite champions. And this champion all around, I mean, you use him from early game to mid game to way in the late game when you're using him in Clan Boss. And it is actually Seeker, right? Seeker brings a lot of things to the table. He brings a passive that has increased defense if enough of your teammates take a decent sized hit, brings turn meter boost and increased attack on the A2, and then also brings a provoke on the A1. But, unless you're using him for Clan Boss, you don't really need this guy booked, right? I use him in Arena right now on a viewer's account, Stevens. We go first, increase attack, turn meter boost, right into a Skull Crown AoE, and it's over and done with, right? You can use them in Magma Dragon, A1, just constantly provoking. And you know what? I've even seen him in some comps, early game comps, for Hydra, right? Because he helps that Mischief Head get under control. Not Mischief, Decay, sorry. Get under control. So, what do you think?
Yeah. When I think about Seeker, I mean, I've really only ever used him in an unkillable clan boss team. So in that case, obviously you'd have to have him booked. You'd need to have the 5 turn cooldown down to 3. But I think a lot of people do sleep on Seeker in the arena. He is a great arena champ, and if that in that case, you absolutely don't need any book. Like you said, fill and turn meter. But his passive, I think you brought up his passive, but this is super big in arena as well. I feel like getting that increased defense up whenever an ally's hit with a critical hit. Um, that actually that could like prevent you from dying sometimes. So I think he's great in arena. Certainly, I don't have him on the free to play account, so I think that's why I didn't think about him when you first brought this up. But yeah, in arena, early game, unbooked. I mean, Seeker can do a lot of stuff for you for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I remember one of the comps back in the day used to be him and Sandlash Survivor, and you put him in the lead, and then Sandlash goes. You got increased defense, block damage, ally protection, go second team, and it was just insane. Like you were just dreading having to go against them, right?
Yeah, I've seen those. Yep.
All right, so we've got 4 down, 6 more to go. Gessel, who do you have next for me, my man?
All right. Well, I think we'll stay in the undead horde, and my man Husk. Husk, when you brought this up, I wanted to kind of think of different types of champions. I wanted to think of support style champs, damage dealers, ones that have interesting passives, stuff like that. So, the one idea I was thinking that enemy max HP champs don't really need books to deal out damage, and his A2 is amazing. I've basically 3 of these built on my main account to go to bring that AOE enemy max HP. He's great to bring in as like a second to like an RG, or if you got like a Crizzy or something. You bring him in with that A2, and he can knock anyone out who's been devoured fairly quickly. And you don't need to have it booked. Obviously, if it's booked, you're getting that down to a 4 turn cooldown. It's definitely better. But a lot of people run him in Relentless or Reflex gear anyway. So um, also, he's got the provoke on the A1. Again, obviously, if you're going full board on Hydra, you're gonna want have that book to get the extra chance on the provoke for the head of decay. But I just think any enemy max HP champ doesn't need to be booked to bring that damage. And there's a lot of places where basically any boss where they have huge pools of HP, enemy max HP champs are going to bring you a lot of damage.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, his A2, you could throw one book in and get 5% damage, but it's not really worth it, right? And like you said, most of us now are gearing him either in Relentless or Reflex with refresh accessories. So for the end game Hydra builds, he's definitely solid. You know, you're not going to really lose a lot, especially if you're, if you're in one of the clans like I am, where we need to get as much damage as we can because of this Hydra Clash thing. Then yeah, maybe. But early game, he's going to provide you with that enemy max HP, which is great for trying to get into Spider, right? Trying to get
Mhm.
dungeons farmed. It's also got a stun, 35% chance, not too shabby, right?
Yep.
That provoke on the A1, again, I'm thinking Magma Dragon, I'm thinking Decay Head, it helps you quite a bit. And it always comes in on the times where you're like, I really need it, I really need it, and it pays off, right? All right, so my next one is actually somebody who's got a pretty strong kit, right? Helps you all the way from early into mid into late game, and just about every aspect of the game, right? From clan boss to arena to hydras, depending early on. But it's Fahrakin the Fat, and he is just so damn good. That A3 bringing in 30% increased crit rate. If you're working with a blender team, you build everybody to 70. He provides that extra 30. And, if you got your Skull Crown's Instination, no one's standing a chance in lower tier gold elos. As for Clan Boss, that's ally attack is probably one of the strongest things. And, it is a 6 turn cooldown, but again, depending on where you're using him, especially in Arena, you just need that one time, right? And
Hmm.
in Clan Boss, yeah, can you get more? Sure. Is it really needed? I don't think so. And then another one is like when you're going into Magma Dragon, you bring that ally attack in, you get your Seekers, you got your Husks, like we were talking about, with those A1s trying to provoke that Magma Dragon. And then, his A2, it is a 75% chance to place a poison and an HP burn, but, it's not horrible. 4 turn cooldown, Clan Boss definitely helps. And then he gets the decreased defense on the A1. I mean, I'm a strong proponent of not having to book him unless you absolutely, are already done with everything in the game and now you're looking to, mid max every champion, right? So, what do you think?
Yeah, I think as you said, for arena early mid game, you definitely 100% do not need him booked, and he brings you the A3 is awesome. Like you said, you can build him with less crit rate, get even more crit damage with the buff he's got. Um, and then your blender comps should roll right through. Yeah, I would say anyone probably even through gold 4. Um, and later game, yeah, early game, if you're maybe doing a hard, brutal and clan boss, you probably don't need it booked to still get a great benefit out of this champion. But as you said, I think obviously later game you're gonna want to you're gonna want those booked to be able to kind of finely tune him with like an ultra nightmare team. But he's an outstanding champ. There's now a handful of ally attack champs, but he even at an epic is one of the best ally attack champs. I've even seen some comps with him in Fire Knight 10 hard mode. So definitely a great champ to build early on. You'll use him throughout.
Plus, I mean, you got to talk about look at that belly.
He's a good looking big boy.
Yeah, agreed. All right, we've got four more left, and who do you have next for us?
Uh, Man, honestly, this is the first champ I thought about when you brought this up. I got this champ very early in my free to play account, and she did wonders. Her name is Doompriest. Doompriest never needs books because the only thing you care about with her, not the only thing, but the biggest thing she brings is that passive, man. That passive heals all allies by 7.5% of the HP and removes one random debuff from them at the start of this champ's turn. Being able to cleanse debuffs is not something there's not a lot of champs that do it, and this champ does it every time she takes a turn. It's huge. You can use her early game, mid game, late game. She's in Demon Lord clan boss comps. She's in Hydra to help cleanse the fears and the poisons and everything that gets thrown on you there. You can use her anywhere in faction war or in her faction wars. You can use her pretty much anywhere in Doom Tower. I love Doom Priest. Put her in relentless set, make her as fast as you can possibly make her, and she's constantly putting out the heals and just keeping your team cleansed. Never need a book. You don't have to book her late game if you don't want to. She's an outstanding champ.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I remember going through again. big thing was when Doom Tower first came out, you needed those revivers, you needed those cleansers, especially with like the Nether Spider, right? That had those poisons coming on you. You needed somebody to cleanse them every turn, and she was solid. Frost Spider, same thing. It was
Hmm.
landing the frost, the freezes. You needed to be able to cleanse that off. Clan Boss, she makes your comp, any comp, she makes it affinity friendly. And she does bring that increased attack, which is solid. And not to brag, but she can do some damage. I just actually did a Emic comp with her for a 2-key low budget team, and
Oh,
she
nice.
did put out 5 million damage, so
Oh, hell no!
it's not too
There you
shabby.
go.
Plus,
Yeah,
I mean,
Doompriest. Yeah, Doompriest, one of my favorites for sure.
yeah, plus she's got, it's a aura speed for Forge champions, but, depending on who you're working with, you could use that to your advantage. All right, so this next one, a lot of people get caught off guard, especially since the introduction of Stone Skin. I mean, this champion was way back in the day also used for this strategy that still works, and there's a certain content creator out there goes by the name of Grim Reaper that uses this champion for their arena pushes, and it is none other than Cardinal. Cardinal has such a unique kit, right? And I want to say, I think she's the only champion that does a revive and then brings everybody back with full turn meter, right? And you don't need books for that. She brings everybody back. They automatically get to go before the enemy team. You build her really high, really, tanky. Uh, you can even put her in like stone skin, and she's just going to do so much for you, especially in arena. Even in faction wars, you build her properly. I mean, I kept her for 50 when I was using her at faction wars, and then I started messing with her in arena. She actually helped me get my account out of silver 4 tag team arena and get me into gold using her as that strategy, right? You would come in, you let everybody die, build them dirt poor speed, really nukes. You come in, your Madame dies, Madame comes back, strips everybody, then you get your Foley, and then whoever else your other damage dealer was. She's really, really solid epic. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I saw you pull her up, I thought Stone Skin in the arena. You absolutely don't need any books. That turn meter to max is ridiculous. When Stone Skin first came out and people started running this, you're like, oh, this is an easy win, and you jump in there and you get wiped from a revive from Cardinal. So you had to learn how to counter it, but great, I would say great pick. Certainly doesn't need books to get that off in arena. It's beautiful, and certainly would help you tremendously in faction wars. And if you don't have another revive, would be a great revive just to get you through progression, maybe in like Doom Tower or something for sure.
All right, so we're down to 2 champions left. Who's yours?
All right, the last one I got here is Vogoth from the Undead Horde. The passive on Vogoth is so strong. Whenever this champ is attacked, heals all allies by 50% of damage received. Only heals by 25 of the damage received from boss attacks. This champ only receives half of the heal. Okay. Uh, but that passive alone is so strong. I actually got Doompriest early on my free to play, and then I got Vogoth like right after that. Vogoth, like you could slot him in any team, anywhere you're having trouble surviving. Put him in there. He brings the heals. Um, he's also got a provoke. Obviously, if you can book that, you get a 15% better chance on landing that with a decreased attack. I bring him into Hydra, my free-to-play account. That provoke lands, fairly often to help me out with the head of decay, and and then he's just sitting there healing the team. The rest of the time he's there getting hit with all the AoEs from Hydra. But I also used them early in Clan Boss and Progression, and obviously in Faction Wars and in Doom Tower. So I'm a big fan of the Vogoth. What do you think? What do you think, Blazing?
Yeah, so when you sent me your list over and he was on it, I remember the horrors of back when he was first released. His passive actually didn't work the same way. You used to deal the damage and then instantaneously get healed, so the damage was actually wiped out. It never happened, and they fixed that, right? And I remember that there was times where you'd go in with like your Trunda and you'd nuke, and you'd be like, what just happened? I used my nuke and
Yeah,
you can't do anything.
I
So it
remember
used,
that.
yeah, so it used to be, the damage was instantaneously, like just traded off. Now he has to absorb the damage and then he heals. But yeah, man, I remember just the PTSD from some of those fights. It was like, I can't do it. AoE attackers stood no chance against him. And, again, he's really solid. He doesn't need the books because of that passive. You can bring him into arena. I did use him actually in a lot of Ghost second teams, like I was saying before, between
Yeah.
him, Seeker, and what was it called? Sandlash. Then you put in like a solid HP nuker, like a Mountain King or something, and you're good.
Yeah.
So he's definitely a great choice. And again, he's really used all the way into the end game. You can use him all the way into Hydra. You can, like you said, you use him in Doom Tower, Clan Boss, Arena. Like I can't think of a single aspect of the game that this guy can't fit into a team.
Yeah.
All right, so we have the last one, and this champion, I don't think there's anyone that touches her. She is, I mean, if you get her early enough, no one's taking a turn. And it is the one, the only Allure. I mean, she is a must for Fire Knight teams. She is a must for some of the Doom Tower bosses. I remember Scarab King, you put her with a Blood Shield accessory. That boss never took a turn. Faction Wars, I remember putting her in with like 4 Diaboluses to just cheese the Faction War boss 21. Boss never took a turn. None of the ads took a turn. It was, and she doesn't need any books because it's all about the A1, right? Decreases the turn meter by 25% every time she gets a critical hit, and it's 3 times. So that's 75% depletion. I mean, Plarium went as far as to, nerf her in Doom Tower and some other places so people wouldn't keep using her. Because I remember for the longest time when Doom Tower was first released, you just put in a Allure on every team and boss never took a turn. Nothing, and you were able to just beat them by putting like a 250, 300 speed Allure in Relentless. You were all set. And then Plarium was like, okay, well, enough people are cheesing this. Let's actually try to fix this and, do this. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, Allure is insane. Great champion, early, mid, late game, and definitely never needs a book. I mean, obviously, booking her up wouldn't hurt with the A2. But other than that, like the A1 is really what she's all about. And definitely like Fire Knight, she makes Fire Knight a piece of cake. Fire Knight 20 through 25. Like that shield doesn't even get close to getting closed. Certainly across, there's a bunch of different bosses in Doom Tower. She's awesome. One of the best epics in the game for sure, and doesn't need books, makes her even better.
Yeah, and I keep thinking to myself, like, the main reason why Plarium made hard mode Fire Knight with not being able to reduce the turn meter was because of Allure. Because they
Yeah,
knew
100%.
we were just gonna throw in 2 Allures and that Fire Knight boss was done. Ally attack, no turns, no nothing. We got it beat, but now we got a different battle to fight.
Yeah, they certainly built him around her. It's hilarious.
So there you have it, guys. We have 10 epics that, players, myself and Gessel have been playing for 3+ years. We've used them all the way from the early game. We still use them to the end game. They don't need books. They don't need a lot of things. That honestly, some of them don't even need masteries, to be honest. But that we'll save that for a different video. But Gessel, before I let you go, can you let everybody know where they can find you?
Yeah, I stream Sunday through Friday at twitch.tv/GesselGaming, 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time through 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I would love to see you come by, check it out, say hello. Also, I'm on YouTube at Gestel Gaming.
Cool. Now, you also have something else that some of the other content creators do have as well, which is a website. Where can people go to visit you there or visit the site?
Yeah, our website's www.gestel.gg. It's basically a database of all the champions in Raid Shadow Legends, and it gives you the ability to sort, filter, just search for any champ you're looking for based on anything and everything. It's a much more glorified version of the filter that they just added to Raid. So players got to step up their game, try to catch up with the website. So go check it out. www.gestel.gg.
Cool. And being a usual on the Sunday podcast, I require shout outs. You got a shout out for me?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to my man Harry. Harry's been hanging out in the stream since pretty much day one. He comes in, hangs out in Discord in the chat when we play Smite. I play Smite the first hour of all my streams, and he comes in there, plays Smite with me. So big shout out to my man Harry. He's been hanging with me for a long time in the stream, and greatly appreciate him, man. He's a lot of fun to play with.
Nice. Well, guys, first, Gessel, I want to say thank you again for coming on the channel. I really appreciate it. It has been lots of fun. I mean, it's always fun hanging out with you on Sundays as well, too. Make sure you guys actually do join us every Sunday, 3 p.m. EST, where you can find myself and the rest of the Tellurian Knights, and we discuss everything raid. And if you've got particular questions or anything like that, feel free to drop them either in a DM in Discord to me, and we'll discuss them. Or, you know, feel free to reach out to any one of the content creators that come on, and you know, they'll bring it up and we'll discuss it. But yeah, as always, guys, much love, much appreciation. Be safe, be well, be good to each other, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.